What's up, Redemption? How you doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for checking in for this brand new episode of the Threshing Floor podcast. John Hendricks here as always. Got my buddy Brad, and been on the mend, not feeling well, but I was well enough to record this past week, so got an episode for you here. Not a lot of planning went into it, so it's just me and Brad kind of hanging out, talking about the fact that, hey, we actually played some games, both of us, and we got some, personal experience to draw on, things that we don't normally have for the podcast, not at least in a lot of heavy doses. So definitely enjoyed talking it up about our games recently. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we'll get right into it. I didn't finish it. So, all right, we'll start right here. All right, guys, welcome into a brand new episode of the Threshing Floor podcast. I'm here with Brad. How you doing, Brad?
Doing good tonight. Ready to talk some redemption.
Yeah, got to get it going. At some point, maybe we'll average more than one episode a month, but I got my fair share of hazing at that district tournament I went to about the podcast, but hey, we're still holding on by a thread here.
I heard Tyler was giving up his name, Mr. Hiatus, so maybe you can take that on.
Should take his name. But hey, we're here. It's okay. Life is still moving on. We don't have to talk about football this time. I know we started last episode with it, but we can skip over that now that the 49ers are on a 3-game losing streak. My goodness, what happened to them?
How you doing? We've recorded since they were undefeated.
No, that's the problem, man. I jinxed it. So what about your fantasy team in the Redemption League? How's it going?
Oh my gosh, man! So I had like a guaranteed win. I feel like tonight. It's still going on in the game, but I'm gonna look back here. I had Devontae Adams and Reynolds against Jahmyr Gibbs, and I already had like a lead going into the game, probably by like 8 or I was up by 12 points with Devontae Adams and Reynolds, receiver. All he had was Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm currently losing. Devontae Adams has 2 points.
That's because Jimmy Garoppolo is his quarterback.
Jay Reynolds has 0.3 points. On my bench, I have Hopkins with 34 points. And Cousins was like,
every catch
until he got hurt.
Just about every catch that Hopkins had was a touchdown.
Yeah, you know what? That's the way rough. That my redemption season goes. It went this way last year. It's going that way this year. Brian is 2-5 and number 11 in the league. And I'm losing by 2 points right now. Actually, 1.5. I'm 1.5 behind. And there is 3 minutes left in the third quarter. So
I'm going to end up getting smoked here by 0-7, rooted in Christ. He's 0-7, and he's going to beat me because, I don't know, there's a plethora of reasons, but I'm going to end up losing. He's got 135.08 currently, and I've got 115.08, so, and I'm 3-4. So it looks like I'm going to be 3-5, and he's going to be 1-7 after this.
I think I'm also 3-4, so it may be another 3-5 for me.
Yeah,
but I'm about to be in first in our other league, not your league, but church league.
Oh, nice. Yep, we are in three different leagues together. I think I'm doing pretty well in my I guess I'll just call it my legacy league. It's the one I've done for like 10 years now. I'm ranked number 1 in there. I should win tonight. So I do have that going for me. In the church league, I thought I was cooked, man. I thought I was cooked. And then I traded with Ash. I traded him Deebo Samuel because he wasn't doing much for me, for Gabe Davis and Najee Harris. That was a good deal in my favor. Um, I gave him Debo Samuel and the guy for the Browns, Kareem Hunt, because he wasn't doing much then. So it became a wash. In addition to that, Ash, the same guy I traded and ended up getting probably right now it feels like the favorable end of that just because Gabe Davis had a good game. Then he dropped DeAndre Hopkins because he was on his bye week. I immediately snagged him up and then I started him and he has I don't know what he ended up with, but it was like he had 4 or 5 catches and 3 of them were touchdowns. I feel like my team is somehow getting elevated slightly right now, and they shouldn't necessarily be. And then his team is kind of falling down, and they necessarily shouldn't be.
Yeah, Hopkins had a horrible year up until this game.
Up until that quarterback change.
Yep.
Hey, maybe that means the rest of the season will be okay.
I'll start Hopkins next week.
You'll start him and he'll have 2 points.
He'll get 1 point, 2 points. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I guess when real football's not doing that great for us, we at least have the fantasy stuff to fall back on.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Saints are doing good.
Yeah. Technically, Alabama's only lost 1 game, but several of their wins have felt like losses. And now they're going to play LSU this coming Saturday night. I can't even imagine what Derek's going to send me because he's always kind of trying to give me rib shots over Alabama looking bad or whatever.
Has he seen Florida play at all this year?
Or actually, is it LSU this week?
I think it is.
And Kentucky's the following week, right? Because I saw something about Kentucky being an early game, which nobody likes 11 o'clock games. Those should be outlawed.
LSU.
But anyway, enough sports talk. What about the other, I guess, non-athletic but kind of sportsy thing that we like to do? And that's play this game Redemption here.
That's right.
And you ever think about putting on a sweatband or, getting all, dressed up like you're going into a real game when you sit down to play?
I don't know if I thought about dressing up, but I think that the pregame jitters are a thing. Going into a tournament sometimes it's kind of like,
oh yeah,
why am I nervous right now? We're playing a card game.
It's crazy. You should, to get rid of the jitters, you should come up with a pregame ritual. Like everybody's got them. You should get the baby powder and do the LeBron James. Hit them with the LeBron James on the side of the table.
It probably helped to have a deck that you actually know what's in there.
Yeah, that usually helps. Don't build your deck the night before, which, speaking of, I did do that. I built a deck at 4 a.m. the night before this district tournament. I went without a deck thinking that I might end up just helping Chris Judge if it had a big turnout, which it did. I think we ended up with 24 players maybe for Type 1, which is a significant number for a random district in the dead period of the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be kind of the dead period, but obviously people are excited about building decks and trying things, but getting 24 players for a category for Type 1 is kind of, it's nice. You get to see a variety of decks you play against, but I was like, okay, if I don't play Type 1, that's fine. And then I ended up building one the night before. And of course, I fell back to my blue habits and tried to add some of the new stuff that came out in IR. And I had an absolute blast. It was honestly probably some of the most fun I've ever had playing Redemption.
Nice.
Because, it's like what I've been playing, but instead of having to force things to make it kind of flow well, you get enough new stuff, you put it together, and it's it just kind of rolls. And then not only that, which, for my tournament, I ended up, I lost a game, and that ended up keeping me from placing. I lost 5-4. It was final round called, and we were back and forth, and I just couldn't get a block because he had Angel of the Lord, and I knew I had to band. And I was able to ban, but then he had something that withdrew withdrew me, and then I only had the one evil character, and before I could play anything to stop that, drops the Angel of the Lord. What are you gonna do? But I ended up playing. I played blue with Philistine defense, and I won the first game 5-0. Never saw Son of God or Second Coming. Shockingly, I won them all 5 in battle, and I mean it kind of felt unfair how like anything he tried to do, I had an immediate answer for. I was like, no, you can't do that because this, or hey, I'm gonna stop that because I've got this, or it was like one of those to where like I felt bad for the guy on the other side. And then the second game I won 5-0. And so I've got 2 5-0 wins to start this thing out. And then I get paired up and I lose in that one game 5-4. And then I followed that up the next game. I didn't get a full win, but I got a timeout win. And so I was 3-1 with 2 full wins. But even with the 5-4 loss and the timeout win, I still had the best soul differential in the tournament field because of those first 2 rounds with 5-0. But I played Warrior Overtaken from the starter deck, which is the Philistine Evil Dominant. And then I played Out of Their Hands, I think is the name of it, the Sons of Jacob, basically Good Vain Philosophy. So I found room to play both of those dominants. So I wasn't necessarily trying to be super, super competitive. I was just wanting to try new things out and see how it fit and played. And man, every time we go back to like what we like playing or, talk about it, Philistines is always up there for me. I can't tell you how much fun it is to play Philistines. It is so, so fun. Of course, it gets more fun if you're willing to dedicate more resources in your deck for, adding the add to battle stuff, the extra weapons, things that take up space. But Philistines are so fun. You remember when LSC first came out and you were the one that was big on them? You were like, I got this guy, Commander Feichel from the reserve. I'm going to do Armor Bearer and all this. And I was like, whoa, calm down. I've got this enhancement that says cannot be negated by a Philistine. Just let me play it. You remember I was all excited about, what is that, Covenant with Philistia?
Yeah.
Because that was like one of the best enhancements that, as a straight battle winner and you get to throw in against a certain matchup, a CBN, that's how like not bad, but how, I guess, borderline the enhancements have been. And then you get IR and now Roots on top of that, throw in some love to just mono blue, just good value enhancements. And it was nice to be able to play some of those. But enough about that and enough about me playing. Great turnout at that tournament. Enjoyed hanging out with people. I got to see Brian and his group, and then Tyler, Jeremy was there. I guess Chris was there. Sean was there. And there was a couple of people from Chris's play group. Ended up being a great turnout. But I know that you've been poking around. You've been playing a lot of Redemption lately, which seems like kind of odd for us to be talking about Redemption and actually have games under our belt. People out there listening to the podcast are going to be like, what's going on? John and Brad actually play Redemption? So how about the games you've been playing lately? How have those been going?
Well, first I'll say, I do wish I could have made it to Knoxville. I just couldn't. It's busy.
Fair enough.
But glad you guys had a good time up there without me. That's okay. I've been resorting to a little bit on the Lackey and Zoom front. Both of us made that bet to join the Zoom Discord thing, so that was pretty cool. And then I just so happened to have a little bit of extra time here lately, so been able to jump on the Lackey. It's been really fun, man. I honestly
hold on. I like the way you like almost personify it. You're like, I've been jumping on the Lackey. Like the Lackey is a thing, not like it's a program. I've been jumping on the Lackey, bro.
Hey, what you know about the Lackey? That's all I'm saying.
Get your Lackey rep up.
Got to get them Lackey reps for sure because, dude, when I was in those tournaments, oh my goodness, man, like I made so many boneheaded mistakes and like these guys that I was playing, it was my first time playing a few of them. They're playing, this guy doesn't know how to play Redemption at all because I was just like screwing everything up. But No, it was really fun getting back into it. I was it felt, and this is gonna sound weird, okay, but this is, I don't know what it
Hey,
was.
we're good with weird. Bring it on, man.
Yeah, well, not weird in that way, but so like last year, like didn't hardly play at all. Most of that was because I was really busy, just had another baby, a lot of life changes, all this
Yeah.
stuff. But like I also wasn't really highly motivated to play GOC either. And I think part of that was
Oh,
just
here we
because
go.
of,
Here we go.
yeah, I mean,
GOC
no, and I
hate,
wasn't.
baby.
Hey, it was a real thing. Like when all these cards were coming out, and I'm just sitting here looking, I'm like, man, like, what's the point of doing anything? Because everything's gonna go off. Like you can't stop anything. Screw Moses, bomb Moses, because he wouldn't do anything into the GOC because everything's cannot be prevented or cannot be negated, pretty much. So, anyways, throwing it out there, but IR coming out, I was looking at the cards. I was like, man, this is actually like, it feels like it takes a little more like thought and like strategy behind like trying to get like a soul or a block or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it feels a little less cookie cutter to where like GOC offenses all somehow end up feeling like the same, or feeling like they're doing mostly the same thing because they're trying to exploit the same best value heroes and best value enhancements, and they're using that resurrection play to get whatever set up, and it just feels like there's less creativity within it because of that. That's how I feel like you might have felt, because that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah. And this is no slight against anybody that plays GOC. Like it's fun. I haven't built a GOC deck yet or anything. I played with one of the contender decks that you built for whenever we were playing back in the day, but like when it first came out. But I don't know. Like I've always gravitated a little more towards Old Testament, anyways, and some of these heroes, especially the white offense, and I definitely am enjoying the brown defense a little bit more. That's what I've been playing, is white offense, brown defense. Pretty much all Exodus characters on offense.
Ending racism in a single deck.
That's right.
There you go.
Okay.
You don't know how to come back.
I'm not even gonna say anything with that. Oh man. But anyways, going back to the Lackey stuff, it has been really fun. Just playing and experimenting with it, going back. I love like playing with the plagues and stuff like that. Bringing back some of them old cards that tried to make relevant at one point and could never really like push it over. But it's felt good getting back into it. I've been kind of trying to free up a little bit of my schedule to try and get some of these games in. So
yeah, I know we keep talking about, hey, we can get one in, and then I fall asleep or I'm under the weather or whatever. Which, I mean, I guess that's a real reason to not necessarily be wide open, but I don't know. I know that whatever I had, I assume more than likely it was probably the old C word, the COVID, but I'm not claiming that. I just had a cold that lasted a few days. That's all I'm saying.
It lasted a week. You were fatigued. You had a headache, body aches.
I did not have any temperature though that I know of. I don't know what that does, but and then Saturday I mentioned I caught that stomach bug on top of that, so it's just been a rough week altogether.
Yeah. We're glad to have you back though,
because we were all set to record last week, and I was just like, dude, my voice, I can't do it. I was hocking up lungs, and yeah, I'm glad that most of that is in the past, and I guess this little bit of nagging cough that I still have a little bit of, maybe a little bit of the sniffles, maybe it'll clear up in the next day or two, and we'll be on the mend. But you did tell me about a specific game, and again, like these guys listening to the podcast, and ladies out there, if you're listening, maybe like Jalissa or someone, some ladies out there want to include you too. These guys and these ladies listening, they're not used to us talking about actual games, bro.
No.
So,
not at all.
I mean, this is Halloween. Maybe we dressed up as redemption players. By the time this podcast comes out, Halloween, I guess, will have been yesterday. But either way, maybe we're posing as actual redemption players for once. But you told me about a game. You said you played against Seth, who goes by the screen name Bingaling. Hey, I didn't give him the name. He chose it. Bingaling. Dude, it says that's you just have to giggle when you say it out loud. But anyway, you said he was playing Infinidab and he opened up with a crazy opening. And then you were able to work your way back in this game. So give me the full rundown of how this game went, because you keep selling yourself short, saying these people probably think I'm a bad player. I bet Seth wishes you were a bad player, because the start he had, for him to not walk away with a win, that probably felt bad for him. So give us the rundown.
Well, first off, welcome back, Seth. I know he took some time off.
Yes,
right.
Welcome back. That's right. Where's
hey.
the hold on. Let me see if I can figure it out. No, that's not it. No, that's not it.
Mirror.
No. There we go. Woo!
That's right. Welcome back, buddy.
There you go. Welcome back. Bingo.
I will say, like, some of these guys are like pillars of the online community. Seth is one of those guys that's like consistent and like available, and kind of like you never know what deck he's gonna play. He's not one of them guys that plays the same deck all the time. So pretty cool. But yeah, so I had no idea what he was gonna play. But he ended up playing an Infinidab deck, and I actually won the dice roll, but let him go first because I didn't like my opening hand for offense. And
bet you wish you had flipped that.
Turn one, all he went in with, I think on offense, he had some cards. I forget what all he played down, but he played David. He went in and got Numerous as a Stars, which I was kind of like, okay, whatever. Well, by the end of turn one, he had played Numerous as Stars and a few other cards, and he ended up having Jonah, Obed, Jesse, and the Afflicted all out in territory at the same time, turn one. So he was negating my neutrals, negating my characters in territory. He was shuffling a card in my territory every time I searched. And every time, if I was going to put down a character other than my first character, discard a card from hand. So that's what I had to open my first turn with. And I was like, man, I'm on tilt immediately. Like, how in the world am I going to get around this? Because I need to search. I need my neutrals, like, what in the world? So I ended up, like, Angel of the Lord and his Afflicted, like, first turn. I was like, let's just go ahead and get one of these guys out of here.
Yeah, get that out of here. Ain't nobody trying to mess with that.
ain't nobody trying to mess with that, dude. And I had to really, like, change my deck strategy a lot because I couldn't search too much. Like, I searched a couple of times, but I literally had to just fail. Like, I told John, I probably failed like 10 to 15 searches throughout the game because I couldn't get rid of Jonah for like probably until turn 3 or 4.
Searches. You just didn't take the searches.
Yeah,
like you may. Because technically, if you failed, he should still search you.
Correct, yeah. But it was like, yeah, you may search your reserve for this or search your deck.
And you were like, I may not.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm not searching this time, And then he got Sheol out at one point too, and I was like, oh my gosh. So, yeah, I don't really, in this particular deck, I don't play any counters other than my Lost Souls, which are like defiled if they play good brigades in battle or whatever like that.
And so this deck that you were playing is the standard white-brown that you've been playing? Wilderness.
Yeah. I've been trying to perfect it, but I haven't really changed a whole lot the last couple games. I don't know what to change, and I actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I played a single card from my reserve this game, not one. I think I ended up with 11 cards in my reserve because I ended up putting one in there somehow. But
all of these things you keep saying and add to it does not equal a win, and somehow you won.
Dude, I just happened to have the right cards at the right, because his offense was, I mean, he comes in with David, and then from there he goes to Infinidab, which he's got Jeremiah, so he's tossing the next. He's got Noah, so he's preventing all cards. Of course, he's bouncing somebody with Aminadab, so I had to band. I mean, it was like to get around that offense was cooking, man. And then he had Moses to go and search for whatever card he wanted. So it was,
Sounds
I
like
don't know,
it was let Russ cook type of thing.
dude.
Like it
That
was.
he knew what he was doing. Is all I'm saying. Like he really had that offense. The thing that he lacked was being able, he didn't. He gave me a soul first one without he gave me like 2 or 3 souls without blocking, 2 souls without blocking, and then one of them I just happened to have the right stuff to get past it, but I think he did block me once. So, and I discarded his second coming with Zipporah, I think.
Nice.
So it stalled me enough.
So he ended up losing the tempo, even though he had the momentum.
Oh, another thing was I soul routed him, and I had
there we go.
Storehouse.
There's the element. There it
was, yeah. So
yeah.
I got rid of his second coming. He came in with a Minadab once, and I negated him somehow. I negated him with Heyman.
Nice.
Because he negates characters CBI.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember, speaking of getting rid of his second coming, I remember playing Jacob. Ager the Wise is his screen name. I played him in the Lackey Grand Prix, the last one, the first round, and I was playing Tyler's current version of Wilderness. I was like, all right, let's see what this thing's got. I ended up, like, off of Plague of Hail. I got both his Son of God and his Second Coming. And I still lost either 5-2 or 5-3. Like, it was so bad. Like, I was like, I can't do it. I don't know if it's me or if it's the deck, but I'm sure somewhere in the combination of that, this isn't my cup of tea. At least without, like, heavy tweaking. And it was also the fact that I was, like, learning the cards as I go because it was the first time playing, but still, it feels really bad when you get rid of both free ones to still lose the game by multiple souls.
That
it couldn't even
bad.
be 5-4 to help me out, on the morale.
I love if you play me right now, you can just guarantee that I'm gonna try to get Plague of Hell off because that's one of my go-to plays like early on. Of course, I didn't get it off this game, but because I couldn't search.
Yeah. But so, I really like how like game altering it is, but it's still like a risk.
Yeah.
And it requires you to have a couple of different things. You have to check a couple of different boxes to get it off.
Yeah.
You got to have that evil Egyptian.
Evil. It's an evil Exodus character.
Exodus, that's what it is, not Egyptian, right?
Yeah, because.
But did you know that? Did you know that it's in a territory? Is that right?
Is it? Because if it is, that's going to be a game changer right there.
I think it might be.
I'm about to look it up.
I might be wrong. There's one card where you can reach across the board and discard their thing to do whatever benefit you get. And I don't know if that's it or if I'm thinking of another one.
Yeah, that's right. You may discard an evil Exodus card
in play
to discard, or just it just says an Exodus. Evil
right,
Exodus.
but I'm saying it defaults to play. So correct, I think I ended up playing that and getting rid of Jacob's Pharaoh, or no, not Jacob's. Somebody else I played maybe. I ended up doing a game where somebody had like Pharaoh's daughter down as evil, and I think I played it or something, or that's where I first thought about, hey, this can reach across and discard their thing to give me the benefit.
That's interesting.
It is interesting now that there's a bunch of Exodus, characters for defense now with the Egyptians.
See, but that's one of the things, like I said, I was a rookie because in my mind, Plague of Hell discarded, just like you said, an evil Egyptian. That's what I was thinking. And so I had Amalekite slaves in my deck for that reason. Like, hey, I can use this for Soul Gen or I could use it for Plague of Hell, but you can't because it's like
it's First Samuel or something.
Yeah, First Samuel, something like that. So,
but anyway, you ended up squeaking that one out, coming back from all of that upfront pressure. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he ended up going in for his 5th soul. It was 4-4, I think. No, it was 3. It was 3-4. I hadn't played Son of God or Second Coming yet because I couldn't find him, couldn't search for him. And he comes in and he does the Infinidab band and he's tossing the necks and everything. and I have to. I'm pretty sure he had Angel of the Lord still or something. Uh, but I actually had the two enhancements I needed in my hand somehow. I had a toss card, and then I had Reap the Whirlwind. So I was able to like shuffle away everything.
Yeah.
So it was. I'm telling you, it was crazy. It was a really it was a it was a hard game. Like when somebody pulls all that out first turn, it's like, oh man, like this completely changes everything I wanted to do with my deck. But it was still really fun.
Those are the games that I feel like are more fun because anytime you sit down at Lackey and you're like, okay, this is the deck I'm building, or you sit down with real cards, you envision the way the game's going to go, but you never envision like getting shut down and hard countered so early. And then to know that like within the deck, it still had enough answers to combat that. And I think that's what everyone wants, is to have a deck that can run optimally and still pack enough answers for when the games kind of get murky, or I don't want to offend you or anything, Brad, but they get a little grindy since you're a grindy player, playing that grindy offense and defense.
You got to plan for the grind.
Yeah, you got to plan for the grind.
Just in case.
But yeah, when you finally, you've built a deck and it doesn't go optimally, but it still has enough backbone and things to pull you out of that hole, it almost makes you like feel like that deck is better because it now has been in one of those tough, like gotten all that adversity up front and been able to, have the answers versus, I don't know how many times you built a deck and somebody hits you with a hard counter and you're like, dude, I just had no answer for that card. And that's why I ended up losing the game like 5-2. Like back in the day before rotation, it would be like, I never thought about Covenant with Death when I built this deck. Somebody played it and I'm just, that's all she wrote, big dog.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now I got to go back to the drawing board and add an
Covenant
answer
with
for
Death
that.
and Cloud of Witness Moses.
Yeah. Put them both together. Exactly.
Oh.
Yep. So.
And if you have Pharaoh's Daughter, then this CVP, so, just, it works. So Moses works the whole time.
Yeah. But you go what I'm saying. So it's nice that that you're getting some games in. Maybe we can squeeze one in at some point here.
Yeah, we've been talking about it a couple weeks, but you gotta stop getting sick and stuff.
Yeah, that would probably help. But anyway,
before you go on, I will say I did play one game against a lot of the new blue offense.
Yeah,
and it was pretty cool. I was shocked at how fast the offense was. Incredibly fast,
dude. Tell me.
I mean, incredibly fast. I was sitting there like, oh, they do what? Boom, 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 boom. Wow.
Yeah.
And if you got hand protection, it's like they get all these benefits because you can't discard.
I feel like it's more territory protection on some of them. Like I feel like those are more of the impactful ones. Like I feel like the ones that are hand, like they let you get a benefit, and I don't know the specific ones and which ones do. If they have hand protection, it punishes that, or if they have territory protection, it punishes that. But I feel like the payoff was pretty good for the territory. Like if they have their territory protected characters in territory, and you come out with this guy. Now, I will say, back to that district that we played, I ended up sitting out for sealed because we had an odd number, and there was a bunch of other people wanting to play, and I just sat out. And I do have 4 boxes ordered, and they are on the way, but I have not received them yet. And I knew that I had not received them and was not going to receive them for probably another week or two. Or I had, kind of added up all of the clues that led me to that conclusion there. So when I went to this tournament, there was a few people that had opened packs, so I became kind of a wheeler and dealer. I was like trading any Roots cards that I had opened because Brian had an extra box there, and I bought it from him. And so I kept all the blue stuff that I got. I was willing to trade anything else for just blue stuff, and I ended up buying, and I think I offered like a fair deal, knowing that these are going to become quote unquote filler cards. But I think $1 a piece I offered one of Brian's students. And I was just like, anything blue you got from Roots, I'll give you $1. So I ended up assembling most of the cards that you need or that you would want if you're a blue player. And I retooled during Sealed while I wasn't playing. I retooled this deck, like, and put Roots cards in. And then I played a pickup game against Peter, one of the students from Brian's play group, and he's a pretty good player. And dude, I can't even explain to you, like, you say how fast it is, dude, with Roots, 10 times faster it felt like. Like, I come out and it can look so innocent as going Benjamin, exchanging him to Joseph, which I'll tell you right now, I know that a lot of people are, they're debating whether you use IR Joseph or you use Joseph from Cloud of Witness to make them CBN. No. The Prophecy of Christ, Joseph the Dreamer, that dude is phenomenal because of all the new cards that fit that Genesis 37 through 50. And him being able to come in off Benjamin protecting lost souls, go to him, and then he grabs a battle winner. But getting to potentially with him, low numbers, play a battle winner, them have a negate or something from the opening hand, and then being able to follow up with, is it Forgiveness of Joseph, I think? That CBN negates an evil card, and then opponent must underdeck an evil card from hand to get to burn through. Now they put an evil character in play to block. They played a negate enhancement if they had that off to stop your battle winner that you played with initiative. And now you get to CBN negate that and underdeck an evil card from hand. So you getting 3 evil cards out of their opening hand. That's pretty good and sets you up. And then you start doing the manipulation after that. But that play can come as a solo play. It can come as part of a big band. And that's the thing, dude. Like, I was able to band 3 or 4 different ways. I could band and end in Malok the Nameless, the angel that protects heroes in territory, which, by the way, also grabs an OT hero from reserve every time he comes into battle. So you get to grab more Sons of Jacob or whatever to play off of the interrupt and band enhancements, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so Roots makes that thing so much more explosive and fun. And I was really digging it. And honestly, that game there was the most fun that I've playing a deck since I played Redemption. Like, legitimately. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm super excited to play some more with it. But I guess speaking of that, like, obviously Roots is becoming legal for tournament play. I say legal like we've all been, playing with bootleg versions of it and stuff. But now that it's becoming more available, it becomes sanctioned and legal on November 3rd. So have you played anybody that's played with Roots yet?
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember if anybody actually, because it's hard for me to remember what's in Roots and what was in IR. But yeah. I don't think I've played anybody with any Roots cards yet.
Yeah. Knowing that, like, right around the corner, like, people are excited for trying to figure out IR and what's the current best approach to the game that's not GOC focused, because I feel like if you're playing GOC, you're just going to keep playing that. But if you're one of those that, like you and I was not super big on, like, the lack of creativity within GOC, I feel like there's a lot of room for creative development now with decks. And Roots becoming legal is just, that's phenomenal. I think we pretty much have the understanding of what all's in Roots now. Most people, if you want to know before you open packs, it's available now. I know they haven't shared the official list yet, and it's not on Lackey or anything, but that should be coming, in the next week, 2 weeks. At some point here, you should start seeing it more readily available what these cards do and things. But, like, there's hard counters. There's, good, strong heroes for individual themes. Like, this hero, maybe not on its own is great, but it's great within a certain theme. Like, there's a Naomi reprint, which Naomi is currently only available in rotation in the, what is it, the J starter deck. I always get them mixed up. Anyway, and she bans to a Ruth hero. That's all she does. But she's on that smaller card size. So if you play Ruth and you want to play her, like, yeah, you play her, but it'd be nice if we had like a regular size version and all that. Well, there's a Naomi in Roots that not only bans, but also picks up another ability. It's not like a crazy ability. It's just kind of one of those like, okay, this is cool, but not like earth shattering. Mm-hmm. But within a Ruth deck, where there's like that enhancement that you can place, that if an opponent removes your last hero from battle, you may add a female to battle. I forget which one that is, but you can add her and then she can go right back into banding to other Ruth heroes. And you get that extra benefit. And it's just little stuff like that. Like it's not earth shattering, but it's playable. But then you do have some abilities on cards that are earth shattering. Like, dude, Nazareth Fortress, it's a good gospel fortress that does exactly what Nazareth did before. Protect all decks, reserves, and discard piles, I think it is. I think it includes reserve now. But protect them from search abilities. That's it. That's all it does. And with Resurrection, if you wanted to, you could defensively play that. My opponent's going first. I've got Crowd's Choice, Second Coming, or the Resurrection. If I think that is groundbreaking enough, I can turn that thing online before they even go into their like prep phase, draw phase. If I got that card in my hand, they do their draw phase, hit upkeep, whatever. Boom, I'm gonna play this before you can do anything. I mean, that's significant. Yeah. And then not only that, there's a few other hard counters. There's obviously Pact with Death, which is Covenant with Death now. It's back. So like Roots is going to shake things up, and I think the excitement factor of it, and these cards, what's really cool about it, and in Booster Draft at the district tournament, I used a card for the first time. I've never used it because I've never pulled it, and I've never thought that like it was worth spending the money on it because it was an ultra rare from a while back. I think it's Early Church, but Holy Grail, like I guess I've played with it on Lackey, but I don't have a physical copy for physical decks. And, that's my preference, is to play with physical cards. But Holy Grail is awesome. Convert an evil character once per turn, limit 2 per game. So you get to basically take away 2 evil characters with this artifact. And I played that, and it was awesome. And that card that I've not, had access to because I haven't, thought it was worth spending the money on. I've never really specifically needed it for a deck. To know that that's now accessible in a playable version that's, like easily accessible for new players, for young players, for players that don't invest a lot of money, because these cards are going to become basically filler cards. I mean, that's what they are. They're filler cards. But right now we've got the drive for, hey, we want to get Roots. But eventually these cards and these abilities are now going to be accessible by everyone, because these are going to end up being the cards that are so common for people that open multiple boxes and booster packs and stuff of the new set, that at tournaments, hey, you need this card? Here, just have it. And all these cards are going to be accessible for players, and it's going to allow decks to become more robust in a lower price point. I mean, obviously, we've already got the 3 Woes, the Second Coming, and the Shipwreck, $25 from the fundraiser, and this is kind of in that same vein. You get a lot of cards, especially those Fall of Man legacy rares that were harder to obtain, putting those in more people's hand, like Amalekite Slave. You asked me if I had one, and I was like, I'd probably wait and check Roots, because that's a Fall of Man legacy rare. And sure enough, here it is in the new color. It doesn't have evil gold anymore. Now it's pale green. But it's like, sure enough, there it is. That's it. And it's just a commonplace card now in Roots. And I think that's really cool. Death of Unrighteous being another one. I mean, so much good stuff to look forward to with Roots. So have you poked around with the abilities and things and kind of spoiled yourself so far, or are you keeping it kind of under wraps for now?
No, I've definitely looked when I've thought about it. Like if I see something like spoiler channel, see a bunch of people posting, I'll hop on there and check it out. I haven't really come up with any strategies or anything with any roots cards. It's hard for me to do that when it's not out yet. Like I can think
Yeah,
about maybe a thing like when it first comes out, I'll be like, okay, but I can just kind of move on and don't think about it anymore. I need to be able to. I love like sites like Your Turn Games where they have like you can click on like roots and it has every card in roots and you can actually look at the set, top to bottom and check it out that way and then also look up other cards on the site,
the
that
zombie
type of
card
thing.
viewer, man. What are you doing?
Man, see, I don't, I totally forget about stuff like that. Y'all need to post more about that stuff, like on just like randomly to be like, hey, check out Zombie's thing he updated, or
Yeah,
whatever.
but and that's the thing. Like soon, roots will be accessible on those sites and stuff. But right now, you're kind of limited to the information as the community shares it because it hasn't been officially shared. But I think Roots is going to be something that's remarkable for the game, for people being able to take the latest set and buy that and get cards that will help them build a variety of different decks, but put a little bit more. Um, I don't know, because okay, I guess there's a little bit of an element of kind of evening the playing field with it being the heavy counters in there. Having Nazareth as a counter, having there's one in there, I forget what the name of the card. Oh, Pot of Mana. It restricts players from controlling more than one character in battle. That's an artifact. It's easily negated, but like if that thing is online, it dictates how you go into battle. And now my Christian Martyr and my Angel of the Lord dominance, which are dominance that players like you and me, we might take out of our deck because we
Mm-hmm.
can play, we want to put crowd's choice. We want to try some of the new dominance. We're playing a strategy that needs harvest time or whatever. But some people come into the game and that might be like whatever deck they get, if they have IJ dominance that they get along with a starter deck, they might end up, that might be the only dominance they can put in to get to 7 to build their first constructed deck. And now you can put a card like this that makes it even more effective. So it's not like earth shattering or anything, like back to that point, but it just feels like it's going to be kind of fresh for new players to do deck building with these simple abilities that can yield a lot of potential when they're paired together.
Did you see what Seth said on the ruling channel about that?
I I'm not sure.
So, do you remember what Not Alone does?
Oh, yep, not alone. Yep, interrupt a evil or neutral card.
Neutral card, and then you can band in.
Mm-hmm.
So the ruling was, will the restrict them from being in battle after the card has been
Yeah.
interrupted?
See, I
But
think I commented on this in another channel, maybe,
yeah, maybe it was somewhere else.
and
But
I
no, I
was
thought it
like,
was
no, that
rulings.
shouldn't do anything. Like restrict once it only sees the current game state and moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yep. So that like stuff like that's really cool to see like how people piece things together like that.
Yeah, and not alone as a card. It's a player created card. I believe that's Justin Allstead created that, the Guardian. Go back a few episodes and we had him on, but that's a card that who's playing that card, dude? Like nobody's playing that card, especially with Matthew because it's multi brigade. But
Yeah.
like if
Everybody's
you get
scared
a
to put
payoff,
multi
like
brigade in our deck now. I'm trying to go all solo
yeah,
brigades.
yeah. So like, but imagine like you give life to that card potentially, or a little bit more life than it had previously by having some simple ability. Like not saying it's not strong, but a simple ability on an easily accessible card for the community.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a cool combo, like I don't know. It's like you said, if you maybe like if the cross is up, for instance, you pay, so you don't have to worry about a Christian martyr or angel of the Lord. Maybe they have the cross up and you can't angel them. Hey, you go in your solo hero, and now you can interrupt and ban, and that card's CBI by evil cards. So whoever you bring in, they're going to stay in. So, yeah, you come in with some kind of low initiative character like a Joseph, get your card that you need, go ahead and play that, band a couple more in, whatever you want to do.
I'm just thankful that Cloud of Witness Abraham negates opponent's neutral cards. So he can keep banding.
Yeah.
There you
Dude,
go.
that guy has, I mean, it's not that
he
he
has
hasn't
stood the test of time.
It's not that he ever hasn't not been good, but it seems like he's getting better.
He does get better.
He's getting better in his last couple sets.
Do you remember when I first started playing Blue and it was like Flood, and then I started breaking off of that and doing the Patriarchs, and I was like, dude, Cloud of Witness Abraham looks like an old like Redemption Players card. Like I didn't see like very much value in it. I was like, you can ban to like this old Jacob and play first, sure, but then after you're done playing your crappy enhancements, because I think it was play a Genesis enhancement, and they weren't very good at the time. And I was like,
they were all negates.
Yeah, there's better things to do, right?
Search for another card.
Yeah, but now that I've played him and done several deck iterations with him, and been playing Patriarchs for like 2+ years now, like that's my dude. Like Cloud of Witness Abraham is my favorite hero in the game because he stands the test of time, man. Like he's high numbers. He can search and band, which is crazy for a non-ultra rare to be doing by today's standards. Like things, I guess power level was a little bit different back then. Like they're okay with that, but now like, because banding and generating resources is such a powerful, way to build your deck now. It's usually like you get to search or band, and he gets to do both. Not only does he do that, but it's all CBN, and he's negating your neutral cards.
Yeah,
dude's insane.
The only thing that Abraham needs is a new picture.
New picture?
The picture on this card is like, no offense to whoever put it on there.
Hey, don't be hating on Guy Rowe, okay?
But there could have been a better choice.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I do feel you. But now he's like classic Redemption now.
He feels classic. Like the picture makes him for sure classic.
Yeah, maybe that's why it took me a little while to get into it, using him.
We need to put him beside Sad Hendricks and like take a community vote.
Dude, he was beside Sad Hendricks a lot at the district tournament. I'm just saying, search, ban to a Patriarch, and keep that going.
Yeah.
I think
ban draw.
I think at one point it was like I got him, I searched out my card. I searched out my card. Or maybe I already had my card out and I started with him, banded to Abraham as the Patriarch. I don't know what it was, but it was him, Sad Hendricks, if you want to call it that.
It's never not going to be Sad Hendricks.
I know. I'm cool with it.
And I always thought it was because of the way the card looked, but you told me it was something different.
I assume it was because I went through 3 different cards to land on him, and I kept trying to tell them, I was like, make him band to an angel or something. Come on, give him something cool. Which, band to a Patriarch, draw potentially 3 it's good enough.
That's pretty good, especially how fast they can get everybody out.
Got him, then you go to like Judah, and then you go to Jacob, and then Jacob goes and searches for an enhancement, and then he can band to Benjamin to protect lost souls or something, exchange to Joseph, who searches for another Genesis enhancement. So you get to draw 3, potentially more, depending on how you line things up. But you get to draw at least 3, and then you get to get 2 calculated searches for enhancements in a 5 hero band that's ridiculously strong. Oh, and if you're worried about world peace, you can play that card too. I mean, it's just it's fun.
It's all guns blazing with the blue offense now.
I don't even know where my thought was before you pulled me back into blue with the Abraham thing. You were talking about Pot of Mana and some of these other cards, but like if you're not able to keep up with certain decks, counters help you keep up with that, and having those accessible in roots is really cool. So Roots is going to be legal on November 3rd. And Brad, I've got four boxes coming. I've got 4 boxes. So at some point we'll have to get together. Maybe we'll do a hangout and open some cards and then play some games. But I'm not super worried about getting a collection of Roots cards because they're going to become filler cards. So you could see if there's anything cool for that white and brown deck that you're playing or whatever. We could just get together, open them up, and have at it. But
I just needed a Malachite slave. That's all I need right now.
dude, I got one of those in booster draft. I got you covered. But I know that Roots becoming legal is going to be super fun for the game, and I'm really looking forward to how that kind of transition happens as we move into the Christmas season. I think people will potentially buy more cards at this time of year, as gifts and whatnot, or receive them as gifts. And then beginning of the year, I feel like we're going to hit this thing running hard. Like the meta is going to start to develop and people are going to be able to play decks with these new toys. I feel like every deck's got a little something they can play with. Like even if you're playing a GOC deck and you're pretty well set on what your deck is, this is what, and you're just, waiting for the meta to develop so you can make that meta call with your GOC deck. There's enough new stuff to where you could find something that will, fall in line with what you're doing or open something else up. Perhaps you want to rush out to a big turn 1 and then drop Nazareth down to counter your opponent. Something like that. I think we're going to really I think it's going to be hitting the ground running hard, developing, decks and strategies for the new card pool or the new expanded card pool with all of these new cards. And that's going to be fun, especially considering, I assume we'll be playing a big type 1 type thing again at Mr. Classic because there is going to be another Mr. Classic. And I think right now we're just waiting on confirmation of dates before an official announcement is done on that. But I believe it's pretty well set in stone that we are having a second annual Mr. Classic, which is fun. It's nice.
Cool.
Somebody can come and try to take the belt from Jaden. No, you probably won't do it, but you definitely might not do it. If he does lose, watch him lose to like his brother, and it just stays at the same spot into house. Stays on the shelf.
He's gonna find. See, I feel like for Mr. Classic, that's one of them things where if he does find a busted combo, he's probably not gonna share it because it's not like nationals or anything. It's like you're gonna find out this combo in real time.
But you want to know a twist for Mr. Classic? I heard this through the grapevine. I won't tell you who the grapevine is or who owns it, but I heard this through the grapevine. The card pool for Mr. Classic, because it can get stale if it's just scrolls only. How about this? It's scrolls only plus Roots. So no like GOC and all that, no recent sets, but classic cards brought to the new, card design and, card frame and all of that. But they're made to like harken back to what the original card did, or bring that ability into today's game. Kind of fits that classic mold, or what you would assume from classic. So you get the classic scrolls only card pool with actual Roots cards. That's going to be interesting now. And now think about all those hard counters I just mentioned that you already had them. But now, like, I feel like, and maybe because there's not negate neutral characters, you don't get it as much. But a card with the same card type, the art, and I assume it's probably the same art on Nazareth, so you can't play both. But now you can, instead of playing the sight, which might be, it depends on what you think is more easily negated and whatnot, you could play the fortress. Might make it a little bit more strategic on how they target it and things. You get to add that. You get to bring some of the characters maybe with not necessarily better abilities, but I guess. Okay, nobody's taking Angel under the yoke and getting rid of him and playing the Roots version, right? But some of those like outlier cards, like there's a few characters that make enhancement CBN, and I don't know necessarily that all of them, their previous version characters did that. I mean, they could have. I don't know the Scrolls card pool that well, so don't get me talking out of pocket here. But I feel like maybe there's going to be some fun twist with old deck strategies with throwing Roots in there.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
You know, something simple like, I guess, because I bought a bunch of blue stuff and I've seen a bunch of blue stuff in Roots more so than other things. But you get Obedience of Noah. The other one kind of sucks. Like you have to get initiative and then play it. And the Roots version lets you negate an evil card, then choose a blocker. So it makes that more playable. So just something simple like that. And then across all of the different cards in Roots, like how many more cases of that type of example could filter into what you see in the classic decks for the 8-man tournament, which I assume will still be an 8-man tournament. But that is super fun to look forward to. So I figured I would share that tidbit with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me want to go and build classic decks. Maybe it makes you want to go build classic decks, but I'm okay with no scroll cards.
Listen, me and you were definitely some of the louder people, even though we were brand new to the game.
Bring me
they were
rotation.
talking about rotation. We were
Off
like,
with his head.
Every time somebody brought up rotation on the Discord, we were like, rotation. I mean, we were on it, man.
Yeah.
And people were like, nah, man, we got all these cards.
I don't care. You can have all mine.
Yeah. We got like these thousands of dollars worth of cards and they're just going to become obsolete. And we're like, rotation. Yeah, because we didn't have any of those cards for the most part until we started buying all these.
I don't know if it was like a strategic thing by leadership for the game, but you know, the people that had a lot of cards in the classic format and, you know, weren't necessarily prepared for rotation. I feel like one of the drawbacks is always like, well, I'm not investing all this money again. I've already spent money on these cards. I'm not, you know, spending that much more for new product. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if making like a root set that brings some of those cards in, basically a set that's going to become filler and going to become very commonplace for you to have these cards. Like at some point, everyone that plays the game actively will have most of Roots. It's like IJ starter decks. It will become almost that commonplace. I wonder if part of that is why they've made, like obviously we're worried about the new player experience coming in, but when rotation happened and people, you know, they couldn't use their card, is it kind of like pulling on the nostalgic heartstrings of players from yesteryear? Are they like, hey, you can come back and you can play these cards. Oh yeah, and they're going to be super cheap because they're the filler cards now. So you can build that collection back up. When you buy a new set, you kind of get these as throw-ins. I wonder if that was kind of, obviously I think Rob was the one who had the initial thought to, hey, let's upgrade the filler cards in the packs. But I wonder if that was kind of like a thought that the elders had at any point to like, this kind of gives an outlet for people to get some of those cards that had that nostalgic pull. And then, you know, potentially take someone that doesn't want anything to do with rotation and makes them, oh, that's okay. I can kind of play what I used to play in a new way.
Yeah. So my initial thinking was that I thought that it would be a great idea to do a legacy rare set of all the old cards before they came out with Roots. I was sitting there thinking, like, once they did rotation, I said, man, why don't we just do a legacy rare of all the non-busted cards, but it's, you know, whatever. But I think Roots
like
is
an expanded kind of like what they were doing with each set, just by itself, though.
Yep, by itself, like it's its own thing. Like here's the legacy rares of, and even let the community have voted on it. Like, hey, what cards do you want to see or whatever. Obviously, you couldn't probably print something like Ishmaya again or whatever, but But there's 2 cards that I was looking forward to in Roots, and I hadn't seen them yet. They're probably
They
not
don't
there.
exist. Bravery of David does not exist. It's in the starter deck.
It's in the starter deck, and it's totally different ability. But
It's
Bravery
a
of
terrible
David,
ability for you.
And what was the other one?
The other one, what's the other one that you want to see?
Yeah.
Bravery of David.
There was another one I always played.
Hold on. Bravery of David. And see, now I feel the pressure. Like the pressure's mounted because people are gonna think we're not boys anymore if like I don't know this card.
Well, you knew the first one. I mean, it was
So Bravery of David, and then
come on, it's connected.
Is it? I'm trying to think of the name. It's the one. It's like the Lord, like Warrior's Prayer or something.
Yep.
That lets you go and get something from your discard.
Yep. Decker. I think it's Decker discard.
Yeah, it's Decker disc. You shuffle it.
Yeah.
To go to your deck, or you can exchange with discard or something.
Search your deck or discard pile for a red enhancement. Shuffle this card into that pile.
Yeah. So what's the name of the card?
A Soldier's Prayer.
A Soldier's Prayer. That's it.
Yeah. So you just keep reoccurring Bravery of David.
Yeah.
And it was a psalm
for the game.
It was a psalm, so it was a
music leader.
It was a music leader thing too, so you can even get it out of discard.
So you understand why that's not in Roots.
No,
busted.
I don't. It's not busted.
It is.
Compared. Listen, I could probably name like 20 cards.
What Spirit as a Dove?
More powerful than this card. This come out in GOC
Spirit
alone.
as a Dove.
Yeah. Gabriel's
not that crazy. He's really not.
Yeah.
I think what he enables though, being a prophet, that's an angel that then bands to any gospel hero. I think those things like add up to its value as an ultra rare. But no, I get what you're saying.
All right, what's more busted, Matthew or a Soldier's Prayer?
But what about the deck that would use both of them? If somebody would put that together. Yeah.
Red.
Yeah. People
you have to have red heroes.
You know how many people asked me if I was playing Matthew in my Patriarchs deck? They were like, well, just go turn 1, Matthew, and then set everything up for turn 2 and the rest of the game.
But blue and clay almost go together too. They have
they do.
Their time
in
together.
Genocycles. Yeah. When I played Genocycles, that deck at Nationals.
What's the enhance? Is that enhancement
Faith
still
of
legal?
Noah, Bless the Nations.
Bless the Nation. Is that still legal, or is that a scroll card?
No, it's still legal.
Okay, so you got like stuff with clay on it,
right?
In blue.
Yeah,
But how much red and clay stuff do you?
But
see?
you don't have to have that. The red can just be separate.
How are you gonna play this red in a? You're just saying. So basically, he's a sacrifice to just draw cards.
So what color are the disciples?
Purple and clay.
Okay, so what color is Solomon's Dream? Red and purple. There you go. That's the connection. You get 2 uses for go take a card.
No, but Solomon's Dream, they got to be meek if you want it, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And they're clay.
Dude, I'm just saying. If somebody wants to splash it, they will splash it. It's like Splash Mountain Water Park. They will do it. You're not going to stop them.
I do miss. So one thing I was thinking about this. One thing that my current deck is severely lacking, which I think is a huge advantage in Redemption in general, and Solomon's Dream just made me think of it, is looking at the opponent's hand somehow. It's hand knowledge is what they call it.
Hand knowledge, yep.
So it's something that most all my decks that I build lack, and I feel like if I could add that somehow with the strategies that I like to do, I think I could be a lot better player in that way. Like knowing what they have in their hand is huge.
Yeah. But you know what? Redemption players are so greedy. We as players are so greedy. And we want the best. We want to be able to build the best. deck that has all the cool elements from every deck strategy. We want to be able to put it into this one over the top deck. And I think you're talking about hand knowledge and adding it to your deck. There's so many cards right now that allow you to look at the opponent's hand. There's several characters that come into battle, look at opponent's hand. There's a Lost Soul that, when put in play, look at a hand. And you can copy that every upkeep with Imitate. You have, what's the one, the artifact? Is it like Temple Veil or something?
Yeah.
You can look at opponent's hand. You have Urim and Thummim reprint and Legacy Rare. You have so many ways to look at opponent's hand. But that's not good enough for us as players anymore. So this card that lets me just look at a hand, what am I going to do with that? So now I want to look at a hand and do something.
It's going to take up an artifact slot.
Right.
Just to look at their hand.
So now instead of playing that artifact that's taking up that artifact slot, I'm playing something like Teaching in Parables, where I'm going to negate a card and then I'm going to take a card out of your hand. And it's just like, it's almost like you're worried about a card that gives you ongoing hand look is too slow to play right now, because you need to be able to do something on top of that. And you'd rather trade it for, like, I'll do this one time and get a benefit than something that lets me do it over and over and over as long as the game goes and it's not negated. And it's like, that's so like encompassing of what redemption players are right now, because they want their cake and they want to eat it too. And trust me, bro, I'm fat. I want to eat the cake too. I want the ice cream on top of the cake, mix it up and all that. Yeah, that's it. That's me at a birthday party, right? In a nutshell. But redemption players are like that. They want all the best things, and they want it to go in their deck. I don't want it in the card pool. I want it in my deck. How can I make that work in my deck?
And these 50 cards, which is really like
right.
It's really like 36 cards when you take out Souls and Dominance.
Yeah, 36.
If you add Hopper, it's like 35. So, yeah, I need a Teaching in Parables, a Pretension, and I was trying to think of that black enhancement from GOC that I really like.
Gets rid of your hand? Got a card in your hand? That would be High Priest Plot.
High Priest Plot. See, I need all three of those.
Oh, yeah. I played that in my Philistines.
Yeah, so those cards, that's what I'm saying. Like, these cards are so good. Like, High Priest Plot, negate a good card or reserve a good card from opponent's hand. Any card, even a dominant. Protect Meek Lost Souls from, and your evil cards from good cards.
At the district tournament, I used High Priest Plot to get rid of their woes, and all I had down was Complacent. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna play my territory class. And I waited. He's like, okay, go ahead. All right, I'm gonna reserve a good card from your hand, because he thought, and I'm not going to try to mispaint the picture, but it's on you as a player to recognize what the card does and whether it's active and online right now or it's not. You got to know whether the switch is on or not, right? I feel like that's part of the skill base for being a good deck pilot. And this was one of the guys from Chris's play group, and he didn't realize that Complacent was only active in the battle, and he had woes in his hand. He could have woes that, came into battle. His other card in hand, his other dominant in hand was Angel of the Lord. And I wasn't worried about that in battle if I could get rid of his way to negate my soul. So I ended up reserving his woes. And after I reserved it, I was like, I don't know why you didn't play that before I reserved it. He was like, what do you mean? I couldn't because of your soul. I was like, and then I handed it to him and I was like, during battle. And he's like, oh man. And then proceeded to, continue to make less than great decisions because he was dwelling on that one. I probably should have told him after the game, but the point is, like, I'm not going to try to like misconstrue what's going on here, but I'm also not going to be like, hey, before I play this enhancement, you can actually play that dominant before I get rid of it. So, call me a bad person if you want or whatever, but I did that. And I think that having those cards, and that's one of those situations to where instead of just looking at the hand, being able to look at the hand and do something is where, like, we as redemption players, we want the satisfaction of taking this knowledge and immediately acting on it, not, oh, I've got this knowledge and now let me go into battle strategically and think about how many negates you had, how many battle winners I had. Like, that's too much work for us, right? We just want to get the card out of your hand, so, all right, I don't have to think about it anymore. But, yeah, being able to pair all of those hand look abilities with other strong abilities like removing things from hand is really cool. And that's like from the I guess it's the I starter deck. It has that silver enhancement that everyone plays with angels and GOC. Angelic guidance. Look at opponent's hand. Sure. Now take a silver card from deck. Okay. I'll do that. I'll look at your hand and then I'll take, whatever I need from my deck. But I think that's where we are as redemption players. Is we're just a little bit greedy on we want the new cool thing to work in our deck, and then it has to do enough for us to justify it ever being played. As long as people continue to think that way, the top power level cards will get played, and then those that are just a step below that will get less play. But I really think there's a lot of creativity within that, just a step below the most powerful cards. Like, you could build strong theme decks that play, thematically to their story in the Bible and source material and all of that. Or you can just keep splashing everything together to where, like, you're blending. And at this point, now you're probably going to be blending OT, clay prophets, priest with disciples. Things like that. Best of both worlds type thing. Two different people groups that did not even interact with, did not even live in the same time period type of thing. That's not bad. It's not like you should be shamed for doing that, but I feel like as long as we're willing to do that and not drop that power level to then be a little bit more creative, it's just kind of where we are as a player base. Not to get on my soapbox and say that that's wrong or anything. I'm just kind of pointing out what I see.
And almost in a way, like, if you want to be a top player, you almost have to think like that. You have to think. I mean, there's only so, like, I mentioned this to somebody the other day. I was playing them, and I just said, hey, when you're thinking about it, your deck, you may want to think about it like this to start out with, as a newer player. Like, hey, here's 18 cards, good cards in your deck. You have 12 evil cards between evil characters, evil enhancements. You have 7 souls, 7 dominance, and I think that leaves room for like 5 or 6 like artifacts and fortresses,
5,
or like, something like that. So, like, that's kind of like the basic outline. Like 18, 12, that's 30. Then you got 14. So yeah, it is 6. If you do it like that, to get to 50. And with that being said, you only got 12 cards on defense in your deck. I mean, out of all the cards in Redemption, you only got 12 cards you're working with, essentially. Like,
generally, the makeup would probably be 7 or 8 evil characters in today's game, which, I mean, it seems like just a year or two ago, it was like, I'm going to do 4 or 5 evil characters and, like, just have extra ways to get to them, like Darkness, Lost Soul and type of thing. And now people are realizing one territory class, you're not able to speed through your deck to get to the fewer evil characters in your deck. So you have to have a little bit more to balance the numbers out. I think I played 8 or 9 evil characters and then like 5 enhancements in that deck that I played at that tournament.
Well, I think one thing that's... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I think that was close to the right balance to where I didn't feel like I was struggling for a block or whatnot. And then I didn't feel like I had way too much. If I did have anything too much, it was probably an enhancement. But I feel like people are also, and this kind of gets overlooked a lot of times, but I think one dominant at least is slotted to defense to be able to, like, even if it's something that manipulates their hand, like a vain philosophy could technically be, you you could be doing that at the right moment to try to assist your defense with getting a block or a mayhem type thing. Or you could just roll with like Christian Martyr, falling away, that type of thing. But generally, like one dominant is going to be there. And then I think at least one, if not two of your support cards, like your sites, your fortresses, your artifacts, are going to help your defense out. Like Egypt is a really good example right now because it's popular right now because of all the things you can go and get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get better. But Egypt, boom, now I can go get an evil Egyptian. I can go and get Amalekite slave. Or I can go get my storehouse. I can go and get my, whatever Genesis fortress. So I can go and get Goshen if I'm playing that. I can go and get, Noah's Ark. But I have the versatility of it can also lean towards defense. And then I feel like this is where people put it in and they don't think about it until it's already in there, is like the souls. So like people play Lawless just because it's going to get you an extra card. Yeah, but it's going to get you an extra evil card. So it helps you kind of maintain or not maintain, but it increases your chances of having a character and enhancement to, go into battle with turn one or whatever if you land on that. Or it can get you several dominants because there's dual alignment or evil dominance. And then you can do darkness while soul. There's prosperity, which is kind of just a blind draw 2. But if you don't have an evil character in your hand, you can use that information to, okay, well, I can sacrifice this card I might not need to draw 2. So there's ways to make it work with less evil cards in your deck to where, like, when you say like 18 good cards, 5 support cards, and then 12 evil cards, I think a lot of people like, especially if they're newer, might think that that's a lot of odds against you having blockers. But when you add in all those other ways to get to cards, I think, and those things are why people have ran in the past less cards. But now that you get to potentially less of those souls turn 1 and less of those support cards turn 1, because you can't just play a bunch of territory class enhancements and chain them together and thin your deck out. And I think people were doing that, and now we're starting to see we're a season into 1 territory class limit on enhancements, and I feel like defense is getting a bigger spot in decks now, and I think that's the right call because you need to have more balance for the way that games can go now. Because the worst thing is having to give over a soul, or if you have to give over 2 or whatever, just because you don't have a blocker, then you've set yourself up for failure in your deck building stage. But I think 12 is probably like a hard minimum right now for me personally. Not to jump on your point and harp on.
When I say 12, I think that 8 to 4, 8 evil characters to 4 enhancements, or 7 to 5, somewhere around there. But one thing I think about, like if I do it, I would probably do an 8 to 4. Is kind of where I'm at right now, and just depending on the deck. But evil characters, what I've learned or I'm learning in more strategy, even especially from watching like Jaden play and people like that, people who are better than me. Is
so
that
anybody? Oh, shots fired.
Oh man, right now probably so. I make so many mistakes. Just about anybody could beat me right now. But defense, you gotta plan for defense getting you resources for your offense and for the game. So like I'm big right now on my defense trying to draw cards, for instance. And I told you about this play the other day. It's not a power play by any means, but if you can get Haman out and get to play a card, for instance, he's only like a 5/6. So you play Haman's Boasting, interrupt the battle. Or it takes a Persian from reserve, it interrupts the battle, draws 3, and plays on Haman. So you take...
Isn't it like... Is the play tied to if used on Haman?
If used on Haman, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is it CBN or something? I knew there was something that was dependent on it being used on Haman.
Yeah, it's not CBN, but it's just... It is you can take Persian Horseman from reserve.
Persian Horseman is, in design element for cards, it's still one of my favorite cards.
Yeah. But you interrupt the battle, you draw 3, then you can play Persian Horseman as a enhancement. So now you get to either discard an artifact or draw 2. So that's a draw 5, and he gets to take an enhancement from reserve. So now you get a battle winner, like a Scattered or a Reap the Whirlwind or something like that, so long as you still have initiative. Or you can get like a negate or something like that. But anyways, the whole point was you just drew 5 cards on defense. Even if you lose the battle, okay, whatever. You know, it was a +5 for you, and you negated all their characters, so maybe you negated their draws or whatever. So that's kind of what I think about. And Heyman actually gets an enhancement from deck. So you get a +1 there. He can draw or get an enhancement from deck. You get the card from reserve. You get the +5, and you get another card from reserve. So that's a lot of cards in just
one little play.
A 2-card combo.
You know what that reminds me of? You remember when I checked with Marcus way back when, playing Philistines with the LOC stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going in with Armor Bearer. I'm going to equip Philistine Chariot and Horses, interrupt, draw 2. All right, now I'm going to exchange to reserve, and the weapon goes with him to reserve. So then I get Commander Feichel out to equip the weapon to interrupt, draw 2, and now I'm playing. So I'm drawing 4, and I'm eventually playing the first enhancement. But then once I play the enhancement and you're removed from battle or however that plays out, now I still have Commander Feichel's band.
Yep.
And it's like, it just keeps going. And then like you banned the herdsman to just generate value based on what they did. And like all this is happening after they're already removed from battle. So awesome.
Yeah. If you remove them from battle in that, then you just keep going with all the special abilities on your characters. So
I remember when I first started playing that, it felt good because it was like something I realized you could do, and I did it. And then I think I've seen a couple of other people since then do it, and I don't know if like people were doing it before I thought about it, but it's kind of cool to see it and then see other people doing it too.
Yeah. If only we still had that. Isn't that card was a scroll card, right?
Yeah. But you can do it with the new draw 2 off of what is it? It might be the same name, but it's draw 2. And it does not, whatever it is, it does not let you play a card. But it's from the new starter deck. So it's like you could chain the draw 2s together, but not getting the interrupt the battle, draw, and then play is where it kind of fizzles on it. But that was good stuff. But I guess I did have a few like random things for us to go over, but I think the big thing is just that Roots is becoming legal and we're there. And I know that you mentioned as we started to record that you listened to or you watched Tyler's latest video and you're not sure if you finished it. And I know that I didn't finish it, but I watched, I don't know how long was it? About 40 minutes.
That sounds right.
And I think I'm about like 10 minutes away from finishing or so. But he was talking about building this deck, and so you take time and you build this deck and you put all your effort and energy into it, and then it doesn't quite turn out how you want it to. And in the game, and I've definitely been there, but that was such a like, it felt weird because Tyler was talking about how he expected to do well and he didn't. And you just kind of assume that Tyler's going into most tournaments not really expecting to do well or not really worried about doing well. And that's not like a slight on him. It's just he has his plate full and he's not really dedicating a lot of effort into this one deck, but he's making a lot of, content for the community and stuff. He's in play design and his head is, spread across several facets for the game of Redemption, to where he's not like devoting a lot of effort and time into this, but he really worked hard on this one deck. And you get to see a little bit of that vulnerability of like, dude, I really wanted to do good. And then to top it off, he lost to Jay. So Jay is like, Jay's the type of person, and he told you like on that call to where like Jay's like, man, that was a great game, wasn't it? Oblivious to how it made him feel. And he's like, dude, we had one battle. Yeah, that's good for Jay. So it was a good game. But hearing him talk about that and kind of the realness of putting a lot of effort into a deck, and I think there's a lot of people that I don't know if it's that they don't want to put in a lot of effort into a deck just to be disappointed, or maybe it's that they don't really know how to go about putting a lot of effort into a deck, if that makes sense. It's easier for them to copy a deck list and make smaller tweaks than try to come up with your own thing and potentially flame out. But that was definitely a good topic to mention from someone like him that's an esteemed player that, you know, has a history of success. Obviously, lately he hasn't had as much success, but that's because he's ramped up in card design and being an elder now over the last few years. So it's not just his playing. And I'll be the first one to, you know, bag on him about, hey, I thought you were going to do something at this tournament, but to kind of see that side of it makes me feel like how I did when we first came into the game. And, you know, we would sit down and play those long Wednesday nights through all hours of the day. And you had tweaked your deck and I had tweaked mine from last week's game. And we were like, all right, I got this card I'm going to use against you. You're not going to be able to stop it. And then it's like, dude, I couldn't do anything. I mean, matter of fact, the last time that I came to your house with Keegan and we played, you remember, like, I had this deck and I was like, this deck should do well. And you ended up beating me twice. And I was like, man, forget it. I'm about to pull out this other deck and play. And that was the same deck that I made a worse version of that deck when I went to nationals and I got top 8. I finished in 8th, but it was that same deck. So I feel like there's a lot of traction for that actual topic there. Do you have any thoughts or any like memories that drug up for you when he was talking about putting a lot of effort into something and it not working out?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was the first Lackey Grand Prix. Whenever, you know, I felt like I had a pretty good deck. That was
when you were top 4.
Yeah, I was top 2. Yeah, I mean,
top
I played
2.
the
Yeah,
championship.
you made it to the championship. Yep.
But what happened to me was what happened to Jaden whenever I played him the round before. He had a horrible hand. I mean, his deck didn't do anything like it should have done. And I was able to pull out a win because 9 times out of 10, I'm not beating Jaden, right? I mean, let's just be honest. Like, I'm not. But that game, the way it just unfolded, it just all worked. But the same thing happened to me. I feel like it's not to take anything away from Kevin the Dude.
Josh
Josh.
Potratz.
Man, I was like, what was
Josh
his
Potratz. Everybody remembers he's Kevin, but sometimes people don't remember he's Josh.
Josh. He had that deck that he had was an incredible deck. The way that it was a really good deck, but my deck didn't do anything. Like, it was embarrassing to play, especially like with people watching, because they're like, hey, it's a Lackey Grand Prix Championship. We're going to like post it or whatever. And like people were watching. I was like,
oh yeah, we were there.
Oh my gosh.
I was
this
there
is
watching.
Horrible. It was just horrible. Like, my deck didn't do anything like it was supposed to do. So yeah, I felt horrible going in, you know, coming out of that game. Like I'd rather lose with my deck just being out decked, if you will. Like, they had a better strategy. They played better or whatever.
Versus you not getting to
just
do
not
any
being
of
able
your
to
strategy.
do anything. And like one more thing real quick is like being at nationals. I mentioned this before on the podcast where you know, I go into a game and they drop down blindness turn 1 and my whole Ruth deck was searching. Like, it was the only draw card I think I had was Elimelech, you know, and I'm sitting here like, wow, you know, like, what do you do? Yeah, that's how it was. And then on top of that, he played the put the demons on your side and choose the blocker with Covenant with Adam. So like, I didn't even get to play defense that game either.
And which player was this? Was it Noah?
It could have been
Noah Wagonek.
I know I played him. I don't remember if he was the one or not, but it probably was him. He obviously had an incredible deck. Shut me down. couldn't do anything on defense. I don't think I played a single defensive card that game. And it's just like, it's games like that. You sit there and be like, do I really have a good deck or not?
Yeah, see,
You know?
that's the evolution of this, though. Like, it comes full circle. Because remember earlier we were talking about you playing Seth?
Yeah.
And you walking away from that, I was like, it gives you like a almost remarkable feeling when you walk away with a deck that you built, and then like the game did not go the way that it was supposed to go, because everybody plays that Lackey game out, when they play against themselves or whatever. They play it out a certain way. It goes a certain way in their head. But when you get hit with that upfront counter and the deck doesn't get to do what it's supposed to do, does it still have enough answers to be able to pull you out of that type of situation? And the white and brown deck obviously did in that game against Seth. And now we're talking about the kind of, off of Tyler's video idea here, our topic, kind of a disappointing experience that you had where your deck didn't have enough answers.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that means you're getting better as a deck builder. Or maybe that means that the versatility of white and brown through IR is just ridiculous on the being able to adapt and change to, because it seems like they have a lot of board manipulation. They have a lot of hand, not necessarily hand manipulation, but you can load your hand up with resources with that deck. And then you have the ability to manipulate what the opponent can do with activating some of the brown defense that activates curses and stuff. And then you always have, like Israel's Rebellion as just a soul hide thing that can buy you a turn or two, that type of thing. So it's kind of set up for having answers to the game not going the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it definitely can. But I think it comes down to, who goes first sometimes, and then also like, because you can't help what your starting eight is. Like, you're obviously going to have, like, if you get all enhancements and you don't get any characters, or something like that, or you only got 3 forts and sites, or I don't know, like there's certain
you got 2 dominants, 2 artifacts, and a fortress in your opening hand.
Yeah, and they don't search out characters.
Those weird turns. Yeah,
you got like Noah's Ark that protects your characters, but not one that like searches for one. And so like you start off with cards that you need and are good in your deck and normally are okay, but when they all come in at the same time, they're the top 8. It's like, all right, I am like way behind right now. I can't generate any value. I can't block. I can't, I just can't do anything. So those times are going to happen, unfortunately. Even no matter if you have 10 enhancements in your deck, I mean, there's a chance you could draw.
I Am Creator. Yeah. The new I Am Creator is
I haven't
mulligan.
Seen it.
It's a mulligan. It lets you draw a card to replace the one you just activated, and then each player, I think, shuffles their hand and draws 8 or something, or draws the same number. So like I guess it works that way. So if your opponent has like fewer or more cards in hand, I don't remember the exact wording, but it's basically a mulligan. It plays out like you getting a first turn mulligan. You start your turn and then you basically start over with 8 fresh cards. Like, I don't like these 8. Give me 8 more.
Hey, that's Moses, friend of God, ain't it?
That is Moses, friend of God, but that's dependent upon being drawn.
Yeah.
This you can like search for and then play it, I guess. I don't know. But I tell you what, we have rambled on for over an hour and a half. And I only had on the outline, just so people at home know, we had like four topics here. And they were all just Tyler Talk's latest video, Redemption with Jaden's latest video, the Zoom Discord top 8 that's going on. We didn't even get to touch on that, but I mean, then Roots becoming legal. Oh, and the fundraiser goal, we have hit 6,000, so we're getting new packaging. Woohoo!
Whoop, whoop.
And potentially those packs can now, with packaging, be sold at major retailers like on Amazon. Potentially can be sold at is it christianbookstore.com or whatever, the online huge place to buy like Christian books and things.
Lifeway.
No, not Lifeway, but it's like
I mean,
Christian.
Christian Book is one of them.
Yeah, on that site, I think the new starter decks are there because they're in that new packaging and stuff. So potentially we can get IR and then GOC with new packaging in stores like that to where they actually get to newer players' hands that maybe don't come in contact with the community first and just kind of notice the cards. So that's cool. We just rambled on from just playing the game. So,
We were so excited because we haven't played games in so long since
right.
Nationals. So
Isn't that crazy? So it's almost like if you were getting a little dull with the game or whatever, that's not as exciting to you. All you gotta do is get out there and play. Now it might help you out if you play blue, because that helps me out.
Yeah,
But
well, it's good. Hey, you need to change Marshall's mind, man. Nick Marshall. Did you ever go back and listen to that?
Nah, I didn't.
Man, you need to go and listen to it.
You just want me to get angry, don't you?
No.
We're gonna have an entire podcast blasting Nick Marshall about his bad taste in blue.
He may change his mind now that these cards are out.
I doubt it. I mean, the motivation for players like him is probably just how can I make GOC still as good? And that's not a knock on him, but like when you come into the game and you don't have time to develop like and play a ton and go through like full on deck building, like he's got the deck that won last year. There's nothing that's come out that's like made that obsolete.
No.
So all he's got to do is like sharpen it up, keep the edge, ready for battle. Just not let it get dull.
I mean, there's a good chance that some kind of very close version of that deck would win. I would be shocked if that deck doesn't get top 3 next year.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the year after. And the year after.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, I'm excited to see what that next tier below, like the super high powered decks do, to where you fall into where you get a little bit more thematic and a little bit more like, this is my deck strategy that I like to play. Like I really like to play toss. Toss is great when it works, but if somebody finds an answer for it, or if you build your deck too much on it and you lose one big battle, you can lose a game. So it's not the like foolproof, like strongest deck strategy, but I like playing it. So I build decks with it. So like, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, to where it's not, you can acknowledge that it might not be the absolute best, but you can still have fun playing it with all the new toys that we've got from IR plus Roots. Is going to be fun to see people in that level. And obviously, you'll still have the people at the top with the GOC stuff that is going to have to be reckoned with if you want to win nationals. You're going to have an answer for those style decks if you want to be that guy that can win nationals.
Mm-hmm.
That's just where it's at right now. But we've rambled on enough, so we'll go ahead and end it here. Definitely good catching up with you, Brad, and hearing about some of your games, and maybe, I'll continue to be on the mend here, and in the next couple of days, maybe we can get a game in or something. I do know tomorrow, obviously yesterday, if you're hearing this on Wednesday, which I might not even get it out on Wednesday because tomorrow is Halloween. So tomorrow and yesterday somehow is Halloween, depending on when you hear this. Or all I'm saying is, dress up and eat your Snickers, because you're not you when you're hungry. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But have fun, spending time with kids, family, whatever you do for Halloween. I'm speaking this into existence, so by the time you hear this, you will have done that. But we are getting ready to move into the next season, which is, depending on who you ask, it might be Christmas season, but there's also Thanksgiving season, where we take time to reflect and be thankful. We move into that, and it's never a bad thing to take time to acknowledge that. So we're moving into that part of the year. Year's getting ready to finish up, and I'm telling you, beginning of the year on to Mr. Classic, I think is going to be kind of a quick pace grind, defining what the meta is going to be with Roots and IR in the card pool. I'm really excited for that. But that's all I've got. You got anything you want to leave with the people, Brad?
I don't. Besides what you said, play more games.
play more games. Brad looks like he's about to go to sleep, so we better end it here. Catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Threshing Floor podcast. Want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening along. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, just kind of a hangout episode talking about some recent games, talking about the fact that Roots are, the set is here. Dude, I am so excited for that and what that means for the future of the game here, making a lot of cool cards, super affordable and super accessible for new players, kind of giving a lot of, backbone to some mid-level and lower-level decks that maybe we didn't have before since rotation happened. So definitely excited for that. We'll catch you on the next episode, and we'll get back into kind of a groove here, hopefully soon. Talk to you later. Peace.